Emmy-nominated American Morning, CNN, weekdays 6 Eastern.
This was the top-selling diabetes drug in the world at one point, Avandia, and there's been a lot of safety concerns of recent, over the last 3 years, really. Some studies saying, look, up to 50,000 heart attacks, heart failures, even deaths could be attributed to this drug, and that got people's attention back in 2007. Now there's new studies, as you point out, trying to look specifically at what's happening here. What are the likelihoods of people developing some of these problems if they're taking this medication? Take a look at some of the numbers here. And these are based on large studies looking at Medicare patients, hundreds of thousands of them. And you find that if you're taking Avandia, elderly patients taking it, 27% increased risk of stroke, 25% increased risk of heart failure, and 14% increased risk of death. Those are the numbers, again, according to this new large study. That's the one that's getting all the attention this week. Now, I will tell you that a lot of people will say, well, are diabetics perhaps more at risk for those things anyway? How do you know if it's the medication or the disease itself? Which is why some of the numbers that I'm about to show you are particularly important. And what they looked at here was people who were on Avandia who switched to another diabetes medication and how many heart attacks and strokes they could decrease per month. Take a look there, specifically 500 plus heart attacks per month decreased if you stopped Avandia, 300 plus heart failures a month decreased again by stopping Avandia. That's what we're talking about here. GlaxoSmithKline says, look, this has been studied. There have been 6 clinical trials. If you take them in aggregate, they don't show any increase of these problems. But this is brewing for a pretty big fight over the next couple of weeks with the FDA and this particular drug manufacturer.
Yeah, there's another study from GlaxoSmithKline that it funded just out today, in which they're pushing back heavily against these latest studies. But the question being raised, if this has been known since 2007, at least in a couple of these studies, the one in the New England Journal of Medicine back then and these new ones in the Journal of the American Medical Association, why is the drug still on the market?
Well, you know, it's a good question. And back in 2007, when the safety concerns started to get raised, there was a vote whether or not to pull this particular drug from the market. And at that point, they came one vote shy of actually pulling it. There's also this black box warning saying people who are at risk of these problems should not be taking the medication. It was interesting, John. They basically said, the drug manufacturer said, we need to do more safety studies. Those safety studies are going to be completed in 2014. Now we're hearing, look, that's too long, and this is too confusing. Within the next 2 weeks, let's bring this to a vote again.
In the meantime, I know that when there is a black box warning, oftentimes doctors do, say maybe you should switch to something else. But are there other effective drugs for patients to switch to?
Yeah, there really are. There's 12 different classes of these types of diabetes drugs. And I think if you really look at some of the data, regardless of the safety risks, which are going to be addressed the next couple of weeks, there are other medications that are probably just as effective, if not more so, and don't have this track record. So there are some good options. So definitely talk to your doctor about that.